Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, and today I wanted to take you guys through an unboxing of this guitar that I bought sight unseen. This is the first time I ever have bought a guitar off of Reverb, so I kind of wanted to take you through and see what kind of guitar I got, as well as kind of how I check a guitar as soon as I get something like this, especially because I don't know what condition it's in other than the pictures and the short demo that someone put on the internet. So, what guitar did I get? Let's take a look. So it came in this Gibson hard shell case. Super nice. So he went through the trouble of packing with extra newspaper, which is always appreciated, as well as preserving the strings. He detuned it, as well as put a protector on the fingerboard. So that's always super nice. Thank you to the seller for that. So he did the same with the headstock. Take out all this extra padding. Alright guys, so what we have here is a 2019 Gibson ES-335 dot satin finish in this beautiful sunset burst. Now the first thing I like to go through, especially with a brand new guitar like this, is check the headstock, because Gibsons have kind of a bad reputation of breaking headstocks, especially during shipping. So I'm going to take a look. Bring it closer to the camera for you guys. So I always inspect the back of the heel joint right here. So all the way back to up here I like to inspect. And so let me get in here under the light. This one looks good. Check the serial number. It matches the one that that he told me about, so that's good. That's always a good sign. He did say there's a light scratch on the back of this heel, which is there, so that's perfectly fine. Back of the car looks beautiful. Front looks perfect. So the next thing I want to do is check and make sure all the case candy and everything that he said was in the box is actually included. So give me 1 second. So we have Gibson strap. I'm guessing this is hardware and other miscellaneous stuff like that. We got the original Sweetwater sticker with what string gauge was set up on it. Gibson USA, little booklet there. This is really cool. Oh wow, this is really cool. So this is the guitar on the workbench. So this is a really, really cool picture to have with the guitar. This is when it was in the factory in Nashville getting produced. So I'm really happy to have this. This is something really cool that I will keep forever. We have the original serial number, model number, paperwork, the whole shebang. Owner's manual, always really nice to have. Sweetwater inspection papers, so they do their own 55-point inspection, so that was included. Perfect, thank you. And this is what I really did want. This is the certificate of authenticity from Gibson. This comes from the general manager in their Nashville plant. So this is something that will never leave the case. This will always be with the guitar. I'm so thankful to have this. So now that we kind of have taken a quick glance at it, everything looks good from an aesthetic standpoint. Let's tune it up, check the intonation, and check how it sounds. So the first thing I like to do as soon as I get a new guitar, tune it up and check intonation really quick. Doesn't really matter too much because these are all factory set up, and I'm gonna have my luthier Superior guitar down in Fort Washington set up the guitar, put 11s on it for my playstyle, and get it intonated perfectly. But I like to check out of the box intonation and make sure none of the frets fret out, everything feels solid, and overall I got kind of what I paid for. So once I have it tuned up, I like to play acoustically for a second just to kind of feel it out. Open chords sound good. Intonation is actually fret buzz up there. That's probably due to the factory setup. Okay, so now that we kind of checked it out acoustically, everything seems fine. We tuned it up. Intonation seems okay. Everything seems kind of in check. Headstock not cracked. Guitar's in good shape. Let's plug it in and see how it sounds. So the signal chain I'll be using is pretty simple. I'm going to run it through a full tone OCD, a tube screamer, a Joe Bonamassa Fuzz Face, maybe some delay, and that's going straight into the front end of a 1968 custom shop Princeton Reverb reissue with the Celestian greenback. So the next thing that we have to test is electronics, making sure everything works. So I'm not going to do too much in the way of like shreddy shreds. We're just going to see if all the volume tone controls work, if the three-way selector works as it should, and if everything kind of checks out. I can already tell that this is definitely going to need to be set up professionally, but that's kind of how I expected it to be. Volume's at like 2. Volume works. Nothing scratchy. Tone works. Middle position. Good. Neck. Everything works. So let's just kind of go through some sounds. I kind of want to test it out. Clean tones. I'm a huge advocate of a really clean amp. I really love my Fenders, my Voxes. I'm not too into Marshalls. Maybe I'll get into them. I kind of want a JTM45, a blues breaker. But for now, going into the front end of the Princeton Reverb. Let's see what kind of sounds we get. That's a beautiful sounding neck humbucker. It's not too muddy. It's very kind of warm and round. See the middle position? Now the bridge. I never really use the bridge too much. It's a little bit too harsh and bright. So it is bright, but it's not overly bright. There is kind of that mid scoop, kind of that warmth to it. Sounds pretty nice, actually. So now let's kick on some drive sounds. We'll start with the tube screamer, then some OCD, and maybe some fuzz. Tube screamer first. So one thing I want to say is this guitar is not just good for jazz, blues. It's a very versatile guitar. That's why I wanted one, because the semi-hollow design means that there's less feedback than a full hollow body. So I wanted something that I can use for pretty much anything. Also, I've always wanted a semi-hollow, especially a Gibson ES-335. So I'm so happy to have one because it just sounds so good. Let's kick on the OCD. Man, does that sound good. So what I like to do is stack the Fuzz Face with the OCD, and you get some really gnarly tone. So that's what I love about this guitar, is the fact that I can get that controllable, awesome sounding feedback. And that's kind of why I wanted this guitar, is because the Strat and the Les Paul were both kind of like pushing me to play kind of in my own comfort zone and what I learned how to play growing up, what I learned to play playing with other people, etc. I never had that kind of experience where I just played a guitar and it inspired me to play differently than I ever have. This makes me play in an entirely different way. It makes me play much more aggressive, much more kind of soulful, if you want to play it that way. And that's why I really love this guitar. So I kind of want to talk about for a second how this guitar plays in relative to my Les Paul and my Strat. Because that's kind of the reason why I bought this, is because it's different. It's a completely different animal than those two. And I didn't buy this because I'm a jazz guitar player. I'm not a jazz guitar player by any means. I am awful, awful, awful at jazz. So there's kind of this kind of stigma when you're buying a hollow body or a semi-hollow that you're going to play jazz, that you're going to play blues, whatever. This is a rock monster. It is so incredibly versatile. It inspires me to play differently. Like if I kick on the gain, it just inspires me to play in a completely different realm, in a completely different way. And you can call it soulful, you can call it whatever you want to call it, but it just inspires this little kind of part of me to push myself a little bit harder. And I've definitely needed that for a long time in the realm of playing guitar. I've always kind of stuck in my box of what I know and what I'm comfortable doing. And this guitar, it's funny, it makes me want to push myself as a musician that much harder. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope you enjoyed kind of what I look for when I buy a new guitar, as well as my inspection process when I go through and I receive a brand new guitar from someone I don't know, from somewhere, from a guitar I never played. And considering I never have played this guitar before, it's incredible. So thank you so much for watching. If you guys like this video, please like, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.